So I recently wrote a post where I expressed my feelings about the use of punitive consequences and the approach of a particular TV nanny. That post was viewed over 3,000 times in the first 24 hours, and while the response was overwhelmingly positive, I felt it was important to address two very common misperceptions about conscious, non-punitive parenting, especially for anyone that's new to ditching punishment and may be confused by what they hear. Now, I can completely understand how a single Facebook post can be taken out of context and oversimplified, so I want to clarify what I mean when I say that punitive consequences don't work. So what I have realized after coaching hundreds of private clients is that no matter what our perspective on parenting is or what the parameters of our relationships are with our kids, we all have a few of the same goals for our families. Healthy, intimate connections, independent, responsible kids, children who are aware of themselves and others, and children who make decisions based on this internally directed sense of morality. It's my belief that when we use consequences punitively,
Mum sat Lydia out as discipline, but then went and sat next to her. So instead of it being a punishment, it now became a mummy and me time. You're giving discipline, you don't give loads of affection as well.
taking away your affection from a child who is learning is just so 1920s. We now have more information to tell us that discipline delivered with emotional warmth is much more effective, and that setting boundaries and holding limits with assertiveness rather than meanness is how we show kids that our limits are safe. So I believe that punishments are damaging to our long-term goals for independent, responsible, empathetic, and self-aware kids. Sure, kids can grow up to be successful even with severe punishment. I did, but you know what? I don't know many people who don't struggle with stress, anger, depression, addictions, or some combination of all of those, even though they are successful by society's measure. So when I say that our goals for our kids suffer, I say that because punishment teaches children to look at how things affect them, not others. When we feel pressure to seek safety from threat, we're self-serving. We do what we have to survive the situation, but we don't learn better skills. We learn to hide, to be sneaky, and to base decisions on how we will be affected rather than how we affect the whole. When kids rely on your approval and your opinion, they look outside of themselves for direction. So your consequence, rather than being a catalyst for growth, becomes an external restraint which manages behavior through fear, but it doesn't teach self-control or give kids practice in feeling their feelings so that they can take control and make better decisions. Kids will likely either shut down and become people pleasers or react even more strongly to the sense of isolation, abandonment, or disapproval that comes with punishment. Usually what gets in the way of us parenting intuitively and from an emotionally responsive place is fear, our upbringing, or pressure from others to conform to an accepted set of standards. But I see behavior as a communication, and yes, I believe in boundaries. I don't believe in trying to convince kids of the boundaries with logic or blaming them when they fail to meet those limits or stay within those boundaries. Consequences and boundaries are my responsibility to hold without being threatening. When you set limits with compassion, punishment is unnecessary. It's just one more added parental control that might make you feel like you've taken action, but it actually undermines the real message and lesson that you're trying to teach your child. So when parents tell me it works for them, I understand that to mean that their kids respond with behavioral compliance and maybe even maintain that level of obedience. But when I say it doesn't work, I'm not talking about the short-term behavioral goal. I mean it doesn't work to achieve long-term goals like impulse control, emotional regulation, and empathy, because those are brain skills that take time and repetition to mature. So what's the difference between a punishment and a limit or a boundary? Most of the time, it's just a shift in perspective. So instead of, if you don't leave him alone and play with your own toys, you're going in timeout. Or, we do not hit, that's not nice, now you sit in timeout for 3 minutes. It becomes you gently blocking the aggression or the behavior and saying to your child, I won't let you take things from your friend, he's playing with that. Let's move over here and get some space. Or hitting hurts, I'm not going to let you do that, let's put this toy away right now and take some time to calm down. Or with an older child, instead of saying, "You will not speak to me like that, I won't tolerate it," you can sit in this weekend now and think about how you can be more respectful. It becomes, those words are not part of our family agreements, and this is something that's really been building between us. So I'd like to take Saturday and take some time together and talk about how we can repair things between us. Or, "I told you to shut that game off 3 times. Now you lost privileges. Maybe next time you'll do as you're told." You can try something like, "I know it's hard to regulate your screen time, so I'm going to help you shut this off when it's time." And then you shut off the game rather than expecting a skill from your child who's obviously in need of more practice in managing this area. The reason that I don't advocate the use of punitive measures is not because I want kids to be free to act without consequence. In fact, I'm most interested in my child learning to manage herself without my control. But that's exactly what punitive measures do. They make kids rely on external factors, external controls, instead of using their intuition, their gut, and their emotional awareness to make good decisions. All right, that was my teachable moment for you. I hope that you were able to see that making the shift from punitive to conscious parenting is really not that big of a shift. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more video trainings like this, be sure to get on over to teachthroughlove.com or subscribe to my YouTube channel for updates. And did you like this video? Because I would love it if you could share it on your favorite social media site, because when you share the love, you spread the love. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember, it's about consciousness, not perfection.